if you're like us, you are juggling a lot of different tasks, obligations, and it's good to disconnect in a way that connects you. I know it sounds weird, disconnect to connect. And that's what we do. We detach ourselves from the day to day, from being busy and just being so focused on a specific task. And when we were in front of the many speakers, certainly in front of Grant, we just realized that whatever we're doing, we need to do more, or maybe we need to focus, or we need to pivot, or just try other techniques, meet other people, reignite ourselves with our mission and our goals. And many, many times you realize that what we think is scary, that what we think is unachievable, too challenging. And when we look outside of that sphere, outside of that circle, we realize that it's not only us that are struggling with uh, whichever, finding deals, getting more deals through our desk, or more connections with potential partners, potential investors. So it's good to see, I guess, it's good to see that we are not suffering alone, and that other people is just as capable to join us, to help us to grow together. And it makes it less scary to be doing what we're doing, to be pursuing the goals that we're pursuing. And that's what we love, reconnecting with everybody in the community, making new friends, and overall just continue to challenge ourselves to think bigger. And one of the biggest things that we see repetitively with people that are very successful is that they wish they did more. And that's not something that it's unique to us or to you. It is actually something that a lot of very successful people have reported and or share. So anyway, the other thing, so that was the Wealth conference that we attended, and again we were in front of super super successful people, and not only in the real estate. And that's one thing that we really liked about that specific conference, is that there was other people doing well, growing their wealth with other vehicles of investment. And we are very diversified within the real estate, but there's other areas that we see other people, especially the young kids. I mean, they were even teaching Grant some of the information about how to grow wealth, how to stay out of trouble, what are the latest strategies, what are the most profitable opportunities. And when you sit back and look at what you're doing on a day to day, and then are able to step back and really be there and be present in those rooms, we realize that other hustles are pretty much very similar to what we're doing with the real estate. And I'm sure that if somebody was to come from that world of investment into the real estate, they probably would be overwhelmed. And it's one thing to be in a room where you can understand probably about 90% of what's being said. And we've been in those rooms. We attended a lot of the real estate summits over different communities, and you come to realize that you are able to now focus on the 10% that is new. When you're going to a conference, or even a new business, and everything is new, you just feel like it's so much. You don't even know where to start. You cannot even comprehend or organize all that information, and it can be so overwhelming. And so that's what I see in a lot of people coming into this real estate. If you're new, you're probably just so overwhelmed. And those of us that have mastered some of the language and the techniques and the things to stay away, and the things that make sense, that could be very profitable, it becomes second nature. And sometimes we kind of stop explaining step by step, and just explain the bigger picture. And so, and that's what happens in big rooms. You're all of a sudden, I guarantee you probably catching 90% of the things you just don't know, or you're as new and you're like just trying to capture and take notes. And that's why we open these rooms specifically, because in these rooms we can take your questions, we can share the takeaways, we can bring you up and the panelists and have a conversation. And that's what these rooms are for. That we pretty much digest the big bites of information that we took over those events. And this, again, this is a space where you guys can and should be bringing your questions, because I'm sure a lot of the information just didn't settle in your head. You might still, maybe you didn't even know that you missed that part just because you were so occupied with trying to understand the last 2 3 words that were new to you. So again, these are the places where we come back and digest all of that knowledge that we get. So let me just double check, make sure that the Q&A is open, and you should be able to do reactions and do your questions in the Q&A. Let me make sure. Yep, it's open. Yep, awesome. Yeah, reaction, thumbs up. All right. So give me thumbs up if you were at the events, any of the events. We were like 3 or 4 in a row. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. You want to share your takeaways? If you want to raise your hand, and let me see. Raising your hand, Hannah. Yeah. Do you want me to bring you over to the panelist room? I don't see your hand up. So if you would like to join me, just raise your hand. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. See you. Give me a second. All right. You should get a promote to panelist, and you should be able to open your mic and open your camera. Hi, Hannah. So while you're troubleshooting there you are. Hi, I see you. I hear you. Oh, you're muted.
I'm muted again. There we go. Okay.
There you are.
Hi, Marcella.
So good to see you. So good to see you
Yeah, good to
here.
see you.
Do you want
Mhm.
to share takeaways, or you have questions, or you want to just take a deep dive in any of the topics that we cover?
Well, yeah, it was very overwhelming for sure. Lots of information, but all good. It was a a great a great event. I'm glad I went, and I was just thinking, wow, it's just like not all of it was new, but there were a lot of new. There was some new information, but it was just so overwhelming that I want to take it in, but I said I just need to go back again to the next one, just
Mhm.
because it's still fresh and I want to be able to fully let it marinate and fully soak it in. So
Right.
that's kind of where I am. I've been in meetings all day, so I really hadn't even got
Right.
to really fully digest it yet. I just got home last night, and so yeah, long day of travel and
Wow.
then all day of meetings. So, but I agree with you. It's a lot of information, but I think if I go again next month, I can hopefully capture more information and keep it.
Right. So, Hannah, why don't you take a couple minutes to tell us about yourself? Because when a person like you, and I know your background, so I know when I said a person like
Mhm.
you, very, very intelligent with a lot of knowledge in medicine, like this is a whole different language.
Mhm.
Doesn't this remind you like back on learning all those drugs?
Yes, yes, yes. So I started my career in pharmacy. So I have a pharmacist degree, worked for 16 years, and then just started business with my husband about 10 years ago. Well, I've always been in business with him. It's just I quit pharmacy and worked alongside him for the last for about 7 or 8 years, and then he passed away, and then I had to
Right.
jump in on in our business, which is the RV storage business. Um, but also just a lot of real estate. And so that's how I found Grant. Is I wanted to learn more about real estate and jumped in with what he has to say. And now my world is just like, wow, I never even thought about that. So, so
Right.
yeah, so that's where I am. It's just wanting to learn it,
Yeah.
learn the lingo, like you said, the top
Learn the
200
lingo.
drugs, if you will. Yeah,
Right. I love
yeah.
it. But the more you do it, just like back when you're practicing, the more you do
Hmm.
it just becomes a second or third, fourth language. And when you understand the language, I mean, it's
Hmm.
just you actually capture the high level ideas that are shared, the techniques that are shared. Because right now, probably just trying to figure out what an NOI is.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying you, but like some people, this is the
Hmm.
level where they
Yeah.
first start. So I guess calling for a lot of patience
Hmm.
and being, kind to yourself, and also know that you have to underwrite a lot of deals. You have to make a lot of uncomfortable calls. You have to, just connect with other people and have systems in place because as
Hmm.
much as we want to, like you said, I just jump back into meetings, and with the minute that we leave those places, those rooms, the whole world just like, oh, Hannah, I needed you, and then like everything just keeps like bombarding you, and
Yeah.
there's like if you have a flame and a
Hmm.
fire, it just like starts diminishing, and then you just have to like
Yeah.
somehow gain that energy and that direction again, and then just do it.
Yeah.
Get yourself back and the same journey. So do
Hmm.
you have any specific shares that you like to share, or the takeaways?
Um, well, well, I do know that like I started watching Grant and doing his his live training that he offers on the weekend
Mm.
about 2 months ago. And when I first started, I'm just like, "Phew, can you slow down?" It's like what is it? N what?
Yeah.
So of course I was past that, but it was just to kind of to show that it was like he would go so fast that I just felt like I want to cling on to every word, but I can't.
Mhm.
But I came back the following week, and I'm like, okay, I've heard that before. Oh, I understand that more now. And so every time I go back and I listen,
Yeah.
I understand it more. And so being at the summit this past week, I understand. I would say more than half of it, and but also being in the room with everybody, knowing that I'm there with the right people, and but also being able to go through the exercise
Mhm.
and able to figure it out. That was the best part for me. It was just it's getting in the room, and that's why as I'm sitting there and I realized how valuable that was versus watching them over Zoom. Um,
Mhm.
I told myself I need to get back in the room again just to be in that environment again. Like you say, don't let the flame be doused. Although life will happen, right? But I just feel like if I could get back in the room again next month, that's a perfect opportunity to keep it going and to be able to absorb and keep more.
Yeah,
So
I love that. So
mhm,
I think that for me, the practical runs that he does, like the taking let's say you're thinking of let me look at this market, and he just goes in there, and we can do the same thing.
mhm,
We can pull up, if you don't have CoStar, you can pull up the platforms where you can see some deals, or maybe you already have some deals coming your way, but making it a habit into like doing the full cycle of underwriting. I open an email, let me see how many units. I mean, we know all of the pieces of the recipe, and then just
mhm.
get into it. So every time I think that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking at deals, and I go back, and he's like looks 3 to 5 deals in an hour, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get back and do more. But
Yeah.
I like that he does the application and just calling the broker. Like that to me is like such a
Mhm.
he make it sound so simple, and I know of so many people that They took months and months going around and trying to get more information and just so scared to call the
Mhm.
broker. If we assume that the first 100 broker calls are going to go horrible, then you just want to get them out of the way and so to get to the good stuff, you know.
Mhm.
And I don't know that that's
Yeah.
repetition definitely is the master of making of the master. How is that saying goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know the saying, but I agree. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one thing, if I may ask, if I can ask a question, is
For sure.
what I'm still lost at is how does he come up with the cap rate? Because I can go through the formula now
Hmm.
pretty much almost on in my head, but then I'm like,
Hmm.
I get to the cap rate and I'm like, well, how do I know if it's, you know, point 0.6 or, you know, I mean, he'll just tell us what you do there. And I'm just going, where do I get that information?
Yeah, well, that's a
Do you know
great
where?
question. Yeah, that's a great question. There is actually, so there's a couple resources that you can use. So as you listen in the community and when you see people pitching their deals, ask them what is the cap
Mhm.
rate that they on the road at. When you're talking to the lender, yeah, the broker lender, they will tell you what are the cap rates that they're underwriting at. They are the closest to the fire per se. They're the closest to what the action like because they're selling, they're buy and they're transacting. So every market is going to have a different cap rate. So that's why, one of the very first things
Mhm.
that I we talked about it when say advice when we coach to define your acquisition criteria, because once that you know what you're looking for, then
Mhm.
now you're talking to set a specific set of brokers, and they pretty much are going to tell you
Mhm.
what is the expectation. The other thing that if you have no idea, like if you don't have a guide from a broker, you also can compare different markets. And there is actually, I mean, the CoStar is another source. The OMs usually have the cap rate, but I would say a good rule of thumb, if you were to compare between, and I'll give you a couple examples, but all of this, like you guys literally need to be writing it down so that when you kind of create a chart. If I was a cap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, I've seen deals advertised at 1%, which is ridiculous. But again, I'm probably telling you this, and you're like, I still don't know if one is good or bad, because you still haven't, you don't know if you're swimming into the water or you're swimming out of the ocean. You are just swimming desperately. So
Mhm.
so again, a couple of resources. Anytime that you hear somebody like, "Hey, I'm pitching a deal," ask them. They should know. If they're underwriting a deal and they're pitching a deal, they should be able to tell you what cap rate they're on the road the deal at. That's one. So how
Mhm.
many people
Okay.
is underwriting deals? Ask them. That's part of the, that they already did that part for you. And start building a chart pretty much of a map to say, okay, in Texas, the transactions are going at this. In New York are going at this cap rate. In Florida, they're going at this cap rate. Now, this is a very generalized rule of thumb, but also, again, when you're talking to the brokers, they will be able to tell you. And when you're looking at the property itself, most properties are going to have a higher cap rate. Most A properties are going to have a lower cap rate. I'm gonna say that again in case you guys are taking notes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the most older or C properties or tertiary markets are going to have a higher cap rate, and most newer properties, primary markets, new builds, lots of amenities are going to have a lower cap rate. Okay, so that's a very generalized rule of thumb. So now let's apply that to regionally. Something in California is probably going to be at 4.5, maybe 5% cap rate. Very expensive properties, beautiful places, very central locations. That's just kind of what you think when you have a low cap rate. Let's move to, let's say, Miami, And we know this because those are the type of properties the grant is buying: A class, lots of amenities, new construction. So those are going to be between, again, 5.5. So again, pre compressed cap rate. Now, if you, let's say, talking about Austin, we saw about 3% at one point, and those are the properties that the institutional buyers acquire. They don't care for the cash flow. Usually, the higher the price they pay, the less cash flow there is, but they know that they're relying on appreciation. So that's why they don't mind buying something for a very low cap rate, have hardly any cash flow, if any, but they know that when they sell, if the cap rate decompresses or the cap rate increases, then the price is going to be in their favor. So let's say, let's move to Texas. Let's and This is a real life data. We just closed a property. It's a C type property and a B type location in Houston, Texas, and we paid 7.2% of cap in the cap rate. So, if may I ask you a question, what can you tell me about the property? You didn't know I was gonna question this, but it's okay. If you don't know it, it's okay. But I'm glad that you
Uh-huh.
raised your hand because it's usually me running my mouth here. So, um, so now that I gave you this compare and contrast,
Uh-huh.
what could you gather when I said I just bought a property, 7.2 percent cap rate, and B type of neighborhood, C type of property in Texas, in Houston, Texas.
So that would tell me it's an older build,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, not not like the luxury type that
Mm-hmm.
Grant would go for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, let's see. Yeah, so older neighborhood, older build. That's what comes to mind right now
Mm-hmm.
from the information you're telling me.
Yeah. So B type of sorry, C property in a B neighborhood. So the location, it's amazing. Like, people pays to live in this area because it's a good location. The property is older, so we have to do some capex. But the other thing that should tell you, that set of criteria, or the set of data that I gave you, is that we bought it at a really good price. So there's usually more cash flow in this type of properties. And in this case, because of the capex we're going to implement, we're going to push the value as well. So you do have to do a lot of work at the beginning, but once that is stable, it's cash flowing, and you have a renovated property, and that's how you do the value add. Um, so
Mhm.
that's kind of the sweet spot for anybody that is not doesn't mind doing the work, doesn't mind you know pretty much cleaning up the property, and knowing that the location is a good location. You don't want to compromise on location, and if you have to take a lower property type, but then knowing that you can actually bring the value add, you can bring a C location to a C property to a B type, or somewhere in between. And now all of a sudden you have a property that is going to cash flow. And, but yeah, I hope that I answered your question with all those examples. Did I get you confused?
Yeah. No, no, you did. You answered a question, but you brought up another one.
Bring it.
Um, in the sense of the capex.
Okay.
So when you said that you have to look at the capex, so essentially what you're doing is you're calling around. You know that, hey, if I need to put in a new roof, it's going to cost me 20 or 30,000, right? So you kind of do that research and you add that in under the
Mhm.
capex, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you want to plan
Okay.
for, you want to negotiate a good price, because you're going to need to do all the work. Now, Grant also teaches us that you don't want to pay for something that the previous owner didn't do. So because they're gonna always
Mhm.
try to push the price. So you need to always, when you're negotiating the price, you want to make sure that you have your quotes, you have the like, if you don't know, if you haven't done it yourself, that you have somebody that has the experience, so that you don't overpay for a property that now you're gonna also have to pay for the renovations, and you have to wait for the renovations to be done, and then you still have to do the work to increase the rent, and piss everybody off because you just put all of this beautiful, capex, and now the property is great, but your population have to change, and the people that were there, maybe they were paying a lower rent, and now all of a sudden have to absorb this expense. So you don't want to um, overdo the renovation. You have to be careful not to, what we call, price out your residents, your tenants. You don't want to price them out by doing overly renovated units that are
Mhm.
not going to pay the rent. You might not be able to increase the rents. Um, just one example, I've told you we are renovating the property, and one of the properties, probably maybe even half a block from our property, very similar age, a little bit of larger size, at the same location pretty much. But they don't, the owners just, they have two ages, they have a set of units that they have not been renovated, so they're called classic. And they have another group of units that they probably like 20 of them. They over renovated, granite type, like all the cabinets new, like new paint, like overly renovated. And
Mhm.
I was talking to our maintenance guy, and he's like, the people that are coming there, they're, if they get in with it, they get in with a concession, so he's having to lower the rent, and they're staying unoccupied longer. And before they were solid occupancy. So that's an example of
Mhm.
overdoing it. And now, because you need to recover all that money, you feel like you have to raise the rents. Then you realize, oh, they're not renting it. So now what do? I'm sitting in, I mean, he had 20 units that were empty. And he said,
Mhm.
well, now he's having to give concessions so that he can get some occupancy. So again,
Mhm.
you don't want to overdo it, because then, if
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously want to take care of the things that you need to take care of, like safety and water damage or anything that it's can be detrimental for the property and the partner. I mean the tenants, but just don't
Mhm.
overdo it. Or
Yeah.
if you have to overdo it, then make sure you get really good price for you to not to feel like you have to squeeze every penny out of the tenants because you want to price them out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Good points. Good hacks.
Yeah,
So,
good question. You're a good
okay.
interviewer. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, no, that's so just going back, you said the neighborhood just means that people will pay to live there. It's nominal, right? Not so it's not like a high end, but um it's what do you mean by people will pay to live there?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for calling me up and calling me out on all these just shortcuts that I take. So let's suppose that, and I think you're in Phoenix, and I don't know Phoenix
Yes.
very well, but let me just say, okay, let me just stay in the areas that I know. So in Austin, Texas,
Mhm.
um, anything outside downtown, and it's gonna be outside of downtown there's a lot of gentrification that happened probably of the last decade. So a lot of
Mhm.
people, the location wasn't like the best, it was still changing, but because it was so close to everything in town, it was so like right to the hospitals, right to the highways that took people to work. People wanted to live there because the alternative was to live outside of outside and like the you know commutable areas. Yes, the rents were lower, but they have like 30-40 minutes drive into town to do the work or to go to work or be
Mhm.
at their businesses. So people were willing to pay higher prices to live closer to where the action was. And
Mhm.
even if the homes were still not fully renovated, some of the units were older, but people were willing to live nearby because they're right there. And so that's kind of the good neighborhood or getting good neighborhood, but the properties were still transitioning. So, and that's actually how I bought all of my properties in Austin, in the areas that were changing. They were not necessarily right in the center of downtown, but they were like maybe 7 minutes from downtown, and people will
Mhm.
pay to live there because it was so close. Again, the
Yeah.
other places that were equal on the price of the rents that they were paying, they were at least 30 minutes from downtown or from the area. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get it, and that's what I'm kind of seeing in this market up here in Phoenix
Hmm.
as well, where like for me to go to, let's say, to the summit next month,
Hmm.
that's a good 30 minutes drive in non-rush hour. So
Hmm.
it's a good hour just to get there during
Hmm.
rush hour. For to be there in the morning on time for the summit, I would have to
Hmm.
leave really early just because that's rush hour. Everyone's going over to that site.
Right.
But
So you
yeah,
get
so
it.
I understand what you mean. So okay, cool.
So yeah, so if you
Those are
were
all the
to,
questions I had. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
Now I was gonna say if you were to find a location, let's say a multifamily, somewhere that, like now that you explain where, like where people commute from, if you were to find a property where the market, it's a great location. I mean, maybe you don't mind doing the work to get it up to a higher level of or condition of living, maybe some more amenities, just adding or renovating the units, knowing that the people is going to want to pay to live there. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
what other questions, comments, or shares come to mind?
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. If John, if
Yeah,
John wants to go, yeah.
yeah, I have. He actually, John, if you want to unmute yourself, I'm reading your question comment here. Maybe you want to explain that. Okay, I can read it, but if you decide to open your camera, your mic, you can do that, okay? The comment question is, I was recently employed with a value add hotel conversion property project in Houston. My biggest question is, what would you say in the average is the average occupancy, I'm sorry, the average acceptable conversion time for say 120 unit property? So conversion, I'm trying hotel, value add hotel conversion. Yeah, so conversion, what I can share is that hotel conversion has been not there, there's not something that we go for. It's almost, it kind of mimics the new build. Hey there. Hey you are.
We go. Sorry about that.
Hey,
I'm
Jen.
new to this.
No problem. Technology. Um,
Yeah, it's like
so yeah, I think, did I get your question right?
yes. I've been working at a hotel. Well, it was a hotel. We had a new owner come in. He purchased it, got the units for an insanely good price. Um, and I've been working, helping co-manage. I work in the sales and collections side of the property, or at least I did. And
Mhm.
I just kind of wanted to know what's as far as the projects you're working on, what would you say is the average conversion time for those units?
So we don't that's not something that we do.
Okay.
So, but what I was starting to say is and so but we invested in a conversion before.
Hmm.
It kind of mimics the new build, and that's why we don't do it, because you
Okay.
have to wait. There's such a long wait for cash flow,
Right.
and that's because you have to go through the phases of getting it permitted, getting
Yes.
everything, like all the steps. So I mean, we've seen, and again, the one that we were a part of, it took almost 2 years. uh
Yeah. I mean, at the property I'm working on, it's been 2 years in the hole, and they have a whole lot to do. They're like maybe a fifth done.
mm,
I'm not gonna say names, not gonna expose nobody, but that's where it's at. But I've been in the trenches with them for a while, and I just wanted to know if maybe there was some sort of parallels. But if not, like I've been listening to you for since seven, so you know, be getting a
yeah.
lot of good intel.
Good, good. Yeah, no, like I said, we like to go in cash flow and properties, and that's the model that, that Grant likes. That's the way we liked it. Um, we haven't done any new build. We did an expansion and a couple expansions in two of our properties, a mobile
Okay.
home park and a storage facility. And each one is different. I don't know what the audience would like to hear here, but
Yeah.
definitely if we need to have a little portion of the property cash flowing. We don't like to wait for the cash flow. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm,
I mean, I want to talk about myself, but as far as my experience with this specific project, it cash flows a little bit. Like at least my team, or at least the part of the team that I handled at sales and collections, we worked hard as we could on collections. Ownership didn't prioritize that so much.
mhm,
Uh, I couldn't tell you why he didn't feel like maximizing the potential revenue. I was like, hey, we got some down units, we could get those up and start getting that cash flow turning. But he was comfortable because I think he got the doors, per door, per
mhm,
unit was so cheap. He
mhm.
was pretty comfortable with the way things were going.
So other thing that when you are converting a building, even if you have some units ready, you have to get the certificate of occupancy, the CO, for the whole building. So
Right.
yeah, so even if he has some units ready, you have to get the whole. I mean, we did a fourplex at one point. I think no, it was an eightplex. And at first the city was gonna give unit by unit release, so we could start releasing them, and then they're not doing that. So it can depend from different. It's not like like a set rule. In this case, it wasn't. So
Hmm.
we have to like, okay, well, we thought we were gonna have some income here, and now all of a sudden we need to permit the whole building. So it's just too many unknowns. That's what I will say.
I can definitely see that. Yeah, it's been a wild experience as far as us. I'm sitting here paying attention to you guys because the project over here is kind of sort of not moving too fast, so I'm kind of looking for something else. But I appreciate the info you're giving us. I'm gonna stay listening. I'm gonna hop off here, but I did really want to ask you that question specifically, and I appreciate
Awesome.
what you're sharing with us right now.
No problem. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Let
Uh-huh.
me step out here.
No problem. Uh, okay. Um, let's see another question here. What is your opinion about student housing near universities? Ooh, do you want to take that, Hannah? What do you think about student housing near universities?
Well, from my experience here in Phoenix, the right by ASU, that area is hopping. But I've and that's just from what I've heard. I haven't dived into
Student
all
housing.
of the nitty gritty here, all the underwriting and all that. But from I've just kind of heard from so and so who knows so and so who says it's great for him. So
Hmm.
that's I, I
I
don't know.
think
What's your opinion?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely a niche. It's a niche that when people gets good at it, gets the systems down, it can be a profitable one. There's a lot of like the occupancy follows different patterns with the students, coming in and leaving, and there's just the different laws. It still follows the residential laws, and then you kind of have the no guarantee, but you have I guess less risk that the students are just not gonna pay because you always have the backup for like the parents. And as far as so it's
Mhm.
a lot of seasonality. Is that word seasonality around it?
Yeah.
But people that understands it and kind of niche down on that, they do pretty well. We have not done student housing, and with COVID and a lot of the technology that is available, there's just it's just not we haven't done it. I mean, there's people like you say, Hannah, that are super successful, but we just have not you know jump into that wagon. And as far as
Mhm.
I mean, Grant also, again, I'm referring to him because he's very opinionated. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
universities are not gonna exist in no time. Like with all this technology that we have, there's no reason why the universities shouldn't exist. I'm sure there's room for it. There's some training and
Mhm.
careers that are gonna need the practical hands-on even maybe part of
Mhm.
being in college, but a lot of a lot of the universities are doing more a combine between being on campus and being remote. So I don't know. Let's see. I don't. I just we don't do that, and we just like any other
Mhm.
business. If you're not doing it there full time, or at least a big chunk of your time, or at least take the time to learn it, we probably would do it with our money before we do it. We bring any investors. That's our rule of thumb. Anytime that we explore a new niche, that's the way that we do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Um,
And, quite honestly, um, I would be a little bit concerned of, perhaps having a student go in and then they sublet it, right? And so then
mm,
they get other students, and then you don't know. And if you do background checks, well, if you don't know that they sublet it to someone else, we now you don't have a background check for that other person. And who knows, maybe they're collecting rent on four other people, and they're all sharing a room or two, two.
mm,
So you might think you're renting to one or two students, and in truth, you're probably have eight students there. Right?
true.
So those are things to be thinking about. So,
Right. No, yeah, and again, I'm sure there's rules, there's cameras, there's something that
mhm,
you can, block students with a lot of
right.
technology that is available. I can imagine that they have ways to catch those scenarios. But what I just
Mhm,
remember, you make me think of a friend, a partner, and of us. They had a couple of condos and a student area, and they were renting them to students. And I just remember. They were like, "Oh my gosh," they call it the girls because it was all girls. They're like, "The girls were calling last night," and they were like, they were girls plus they were teenagers, so they're like, "Oh my God, the hot water is not working," and it was like the wrong handle, like simple. He's like, "Oh
right.
my God, I can't handle the girls anymore." So I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe he didn't have good systems in place, but they ended up selling those properties and then just transition. And we actually we own a mobile home park together, and he's like super happy with it, and we are too. There's another question here. It says, "Tell me about the 34 unit in Houston again, please. I assume C property in a B location." Okay, I'm gonna answer that. Um, Okay, so I'm gonna answer that because there's a second part, third part of
Mhm,
the question. So yes, the 34 units that we purchased the day before Thanksgiving, we closed and took over. It is in a B location. It's super close to the 610 loop. If you're familiar with Houston, inside of the 610 are all the medical centers, all the electric um, centers, like, but they have a lot of new technology, new Amazon. There's a lot of shopping areas. So pretty much 620 is like the heart of Houston, and this property is like this. I don't know, like maybe I don't know, like three lights outside of the loop. So it's super convenient to get anywhere in Houston. A lot of work, a lot of industries that employ the tenants, and specifically around this neighborhood. And I say this because I'm here right now. I'm in Houston, and I'm in the 34
mhm.
units, and we have one unit empty, and I'm doing the webinar here in the unit empty. Um,
Mhm,
and so it's really close to get here. And any angle that you look outside, there's new constructions. There's townhomes, gated communities, beautiful new constructions around it. And the rents in this place are so under market. We did a study initially. They were $74 under market. I have yesterday and today I've been talking to the residents, and we are jumping 120 rent increase and they have not even like there's like one family, I think that they'll be priced out just because they've been living here 17 years. So they're like, oh, that's a big jump. But everybody else is like, I have 8 leases already renewed at that price. Like
Mhm.
that's how
Mhm.
desirable the place is. That's how under market this property was, and we're bringing all this beautiful upgrades, new washer and dryer, new courtyard, new signage, new branding, brand new roofs. I mean, we are like doing the whole hard capex here so that we can that we can uh justify the rent increases. And again, because we are actually bringing them the value before we ask them for the increase, they already wanted one. I have two of them asking, "Can I get a 4-year lease?" And the other one is like, "Can I have a 5-year lease?" Like, is that, are you kidding? Because they's like, we're not going anywhere. You're fixing everything, and we like this area.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that's what I mean by B location. I mean B location and a C property. So the other question here
Right.
was second question. So and yes, we are because we I think the next question, because we raise on with our fund, what that means is that we have the money ready to close before, I mean, we were still raising, but we have the money ready to close. And we were so confident that put us in a position where we could negotiate the price. We negotiated the price. Initially, they wanted 2.7. Actually, no, initially they wanted 3.1. The first negotiation, we got it down to 2.7. And then the second negotiation, we got it to 2.64. And then we were like, well, we asked for a concession because of that. We found that the fair maintenance, which we expected. Again, it's an older property. The previous owner had it for 17 years. So, owners that have those properties for that long, they tend to just overlook some of that needed capex. So we knew that we were gonna come about with a lot of capex needed. So we brought budget for it, but because we had the money to work to close, we have the lender in place, we had pretty much everything. The day 2 days before that we closed, we said, well, we're probably not going to close on this property because we cannot agree on this price. And we asked for $50,000 more discount, and they ended up giving us 25. So we settled there. But 25, with those $25,000, we're doing the sports, what do you call, the football area. We want to we're putting
Mhm.
turf, synthetic grass, doing the picnic tables. We're doing the grilling areas and doing the signage. All of that with that discounted price. So anyway, so we're super happy with that. Today we replaced 15 refrigerators and stoves, because that was one of the things that when we talked to the maintenance, he's like, I get a lot of little calls. Not like nobody's bothered by it, but like little calls like, hey, my burner is not working. Oh, my refrigerator is frozen. Again, they tolerate, but if there's any way that we can eliminate all of those little maintenance calls, I'll be in heaven. So those are the first things that we did. And the washing machines, we bought the heavy duty ones. So everybody was like, wow, super excited. And again, so we're excited. So the next question here, let's see. Can you speak of creating a fund? So I wanted to be an LP or a GP, and I have an LLC, and I know maybe six or more wealthy people, doctors and business people. I might ask if I might want to invest so I could go for bigger deals. How would how would you do it? So how do you create a fund? Absolutely. So that's what we did. We created a fund, and the reason why, a couple things on the fund. When you're new and you're raising for a blind fund, you're pretty much asking people that they have not seen your success. You're new because you haven't done a deal. So you're asking the people that, hey, come invest with me. I'm gathering this fund. I don't know what I'm gonna put it in, but I want you to invest with me. So it's gonna be difficult for you to pull that and but put the story together. So to have a better story, do a couple deals to get like by your like whether if you're investing passively, you said you mentioned LP, or get in a GP position and show the success, and then you can put you do a fund. I will do especially at the beginning. Excuse me, hiccups. Especially at the beginning, I do a single property acquisition fund, so you know exactly what you're pitching your investors. It doesn't take a lot of time to do a fund, time wise to get it legally set up, but you are better off telling a story. People likes to know what their money is going to go into, what property they want to see, they want to smell it, they want to touch it. So when you're like just giving this broad story, it's going to be harder for you. But yes, absolutely, you can, especially if you have an audience, a potential pool of investors, and they're seeing you win in the real estate, and you want to tag them along, and you want to bring them in, and you can earn equity by doing that. That's what's called your value add, your sweat equity. So in that position, you can, ask for a position of GP or general partnership. All right, let's see. All right. So what deals are you working on in your pipeline right now, if any? That's a great question. I love it. Yes, definitely. We are always working on deals. We always have a lineup pipeline. We actually we're in Houston. We met some of our partners here. Um, the, there's a property that is already under contract. We might be going in as a partner because they need a KP, a general partner. So, but it's not for sure. It's probably not going to close now because we're so close to the end of the year, and it will take some time for the paperwork. They already have some applications in place. The deal is going to close this year, period. However, whether we can come in and be the KP because of the lending might be until next year. So we have that. It's 156 units here in Houston. Then we also have we have three deals in a pipeline, all of them here in Houston. We're looking at the property just down the street, because why not? We are here. I think that one is 62 units, 62 plus 34, in the same street. We can definitely leverage some of those resources. That one is a soft, like we don't have anything. It's not for sale, so it will take some time. But hey, we just purchased this, so we have 5 years. We're gonna be around, so you know,
Yeah.
so we're
And just like what Grant said, right? Buy in your neighborhood, buy up the neighborhood.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the when I first drove this property, I like to drive around just to see what else is around, and I saw it. It almost looks like a twin, like an older sister per se, the
Mm,
type of property. I think maybe at one point it was owned by the same owner because the color of the buildings are pretty much the same.
same.
It's either that or they have like a really good sales at the painting store and everybody was shopping for it.
Yeah.
So we have those deals. We had one more deal in San Antonio that was off, and we talk about this. Some of you. So we do have every first Saturday of the month we have an investors call if you're or investors, or if you want to be in our deals, if you want to see what we have in our pipelines. So we have that call every first Saturday of the month. So if you want to be invited, just let me know. I'll send you the invite. But that's what we talk about, all these new deals in the pipeline. We also have a property that we're selling. It's a 20, 26, 26 pads mobile home park. So if anyone wants to take a look and give it a try, we'll partner with you. We love the property. The reason why we're selling is because we can either sell it or we can refinance it. We're okay with either one. We've been in the property for 4.5 years. It's been a beautiful property for us. It's very stable, stabilized. So we'll be willing to stay in as a partners if anyone wants to take a look. The price that we're asking is 850, but we know the owner, so we might be able to negotiate something. We still have to make money because it will be a full cycle. But one of the partners is considering getting out. or have request not requested but had asked. That's actually my brother, and he's like, "Hey, Maddie, when are we gonna sell that property?" I'm like, bro, you don't want to sell that property. Seriously, like I can give you your money back, but you probably shouldn't. But anyway, so and if anyone is interested, let me know because I do have the T12. And if you just want to take a look to see, hey, I've never on the road a mobile home park, send me the a text, a reminder. I will send you the info. So let's see, answer live. One more. 610 is definitely a good area. Lots of hardworking people and convenience. Yeah, 610. And as he's making a comment um on the location of this Houston deal. If you guys are in Houston, let me know because we're gonna be here tomorrow and the day after. And then yeah, so we can meet you here. The biggest question for me when finding a deal is figuring out when to walk away from the deal. You walk away from so many deals after a while, you begin to feel like it might be possible you are not fighting enough. How do you approach these scenarios? Oh, that's a really good question, and I'm gonna answer that and probably end it here because I have a crew of people there downstairs working. um but that's a great question because yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes you're like so conservative on your underwriting and maybe a little bit of scare. Like if I offer a bigger price and then I don't cash flow, that certainly has been a position that we have been when we were new for sure. And then then you start talking to other people like, okay, what are you underwriting at? What are your rent increases? Like we were underwriting at one point with a 3% and rent increase all every year, not like even at the beginning. And so we were like not giving ourselves a little bit of grace to grow because we what we were seeing on with owners that were running properties in the same market is that they were achieving 10 to 12% rent increases. So we're like, oh my gosh, like we're definitely leaving some potential on the table. So talking to other people, talking to what are they closing at, what are they seeing on the rent increases, keeping like making calls, like just literally if you like a neighborhood, just call every apartment there is, or if you're looking for business or storage, call them, like pick up the phone and get their story behind. If they are asking you or giving you a lot of concessions, they're probably struggling to get people in there. If they're like, no, we're full, we have a waiting list, like here, then you probably, you're there's, there's that is a sign that you probably can push the rents a little higher and people are still staying. But what I will say is send the LOI. An LOI is a non-binding, not non-legally binding document, and it gives you the opportunity. It's like, here, Mr. Seller, I am ready to negotiate. It opens the opportunity to negotiate and take a look at what you don't know. The things that you don't know are the things that are gonna keep you from like being extra conservative. But once that you get to the financials, they open up for you the rent history and all that stuff. You tour in the property. Now you're getting to know more about the property. You can still say, hey, I make you a higher offer and I'm gonna withdraw my letter. That you're totally fine doing that. But what if you find the opposite? What if you find out that, wow, I definitely was under or over being so conservative, and what I see is that they've been able to achieve blah. And then you can then start feeling a little more comfortable and being not aggressive but more assertive, and then don't feel like you're just walking away for being scared. I hope that makes sense. All right, great questions. All right, let me take a screenshot. I see your request for the mobile home park, so I got you. Actually, I'm gonna take a picture of the screen because otherwise I'm gonna get busy and I won't send it. Awesome. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for hanging up here. I love the
Of
company.
course.
You're welcome
Yeah.
anytime. You're a
But
great
thank you.
co-host.
Appreciate it. Don't have much to offer, but getting a lot of information from you. So thank you.
Just being in the room and asking the
Yes.
questions. Showing up is the first rule of success. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for being here, and I will talk to you another time. We do have
Okay.
another. What's today? Today is Thursday. Yeah, Yeah, today is Thursday. So the next and the first Saturday of the month we do um um the investor webinar, and then the second Saturday we do Q&A, just open Q&A. Everybody's welcome to come in. Um, Anonymous, you gave me okay, let me take a screenshot for the mobile home park. So for some reason, it doesn't save all the chats. All right, guys. Happy holidays if I don't see you or
Okay.
hear from you before. Otherwise, keep crushing it and let's go get more deals together. Bye bye.